Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to see how to download and install MS SQL Server 2019. Okay, let's download the media files. We can see here multiple options to download the SQL Server. Click on download now. Now you can see that the file is downloaded. So let's locate the file. Okay, so here we can see the file is downloaded. Right click on it and run as administrator. Click yes. Here also we can see three options: basic, custom and download media. So since we want to install the media files, so we have to select the download media. Okay. So here we are selecting ISO image, then click on download. It will take a couple of minutes to download the files. Okay, now we can see that the files are downloaded. So just click on the open folder. Okay, here we can see that the file is downloaded. Right click on it, show more options, and select the option extract here. Okay, right click on setup files, setup.exe, run as administrator, select yes. Okay, here we have multiple options to select. First is planning and second is installation. So next maintenance. So this is mainly for the already installed instances. Say for example, if we want to upgrade the SQL Server from standard edition to enterprise edition, we can select this option. If we have encountered any issue while installation of SQL Server, so we can select the repair option. Also, if we have the cluster and if we want to remove any of the node, then we can select this option. Okay. Same way we can check the tools, whether before installation of the SQL Server we can check whether the installation is compatible with our SQL Server or not, and other features are there. Then we have the resources, advanced options, and this option is showing that where the media file is located. So we are going to the first second option, that is installation. So installation is nothing but when we want to install the new instance of SQL Server. Also we have here new SQL Server failover cluster installations. So if we have the Windows cluster, then these options will be enabled. Since it is a standalone machine, so we cannot see this option. You can see that both the options are grayed out. Okay, so we are going to select new SQL Server standalone installation. Okay, so here we can see developer edition, evaluation edition and express edition. So normally when we are selecting the evaluation edition, it gives you 180 days period to test the SQL instances and databases. If we are taking the developer editions, then we cannot deploy our databases for the production servers, and it gives the same features of enterprise edition. Express edition has the very limitation. It will not have the same features like high availability and other features as enterprise or a standard edition have. Simply it will create the instances and it will have the file database limitations as well. So we are going to select here evaluation. We are going to select the developer editions Also we have the options like enter the product key. So if we want to go for the production environment, then we have to enter the key here. Okay, so since we are going to install the developer editions, so select developer edition and hit on next, select accept, next. Okay, so now we can see that it looks good to proceed next. So click on next. Here we are going to install the database engine and SQL Server application. There are a lot of features available on this, so based on our requirement we can select it. So here I'm going to select the replication, database engine and analysis services. Also I'm going to install integration services, then client tools, SDK. Okay. So you can so these are the features that I'm going to select. So here we can change the instance root directory. It is always advisable to change the instance root directory, shared features and other installations to either D drive or E drive. So select next. Okay. Here you can see that we have two options for SQL Server. First is default instance and another one is named instance. So when we are selecting default instance, so instance will be created like MS SQL Server. That is the default instance. If we want to create the named instance, then we can select here and we can give the instance name like as per our requirement like SQL 2019 or anything as per our choice. So once we are selected, then select next. Okay, so here we can see the account. So based on the environment, we can select the domain account here and password and provide here. So here since it is a standalone and I don't want to give the domain names and all, so that is good for me. But it is always advisable to use the domain account for the SQL service and the database engine. Okay, also we can select the grant perform volume maintenance task privileges. So basically when we select this option, then it improves the performance. So it is advisable to use this. Yeah, so I'm selecting it. Okay, so here we have two options as authentication mode. So one is Windows authentication and another one is mixed mode authentication. Windows authentication means we can only connect through the Windows authentication only to the SQL server, and we have created any SQL login, then we won't be able to connect it. So it is good to select the mixed mode authentication, and this is, you can see that it is asking for password for the SA account. SA account is nothing but the SQL Server System Administrator account. So I'm going to provide the password here. Okay, so here you can see add current user. So it will add the current user by which I have logged into the SQL server. Okay, So you can see that Shivam is added here. Also, if you want to add any another logins from here on the account, then we can select it. Also in the same way, you can select here if it is a domain. So you can select the domain account and select the users to connect it here. So since there is no domain, it's a local machine. So I have selected the local computer, and since I have already taken the users, yeah, so now we have added the users. Now select next. So before selecting the next, we have to select the data directories. Okay, so E drive is by default, it has taken the E drive. So that is the data root directory where the system files and all will be installed. So I'm going to select E drive SQL. Okay, so I want to install it the root directories in F drive SQL. Okay, and I can see that the system directories will be going there. Again, user database directory. So it is always advisable to keep this separate drive for the data directory and separate directory for the log files and the backup files. So I'm here going to select the data directory. Since this is my local machine, so in the same folder drive I have taken as a log, and here I'm going to take as a backup. Also for data directory I'm selecting SQL 2019 systemdb. Okay, now we have to select the tempdb. Now it is always advisable to keep the tempdb drive separate. So here I'm going to select the drives for it. Okay, so I've selected the tempdb folder, and you can see here initial size is 8. So it means that whenever it is going to create the tempdb files, it will be creating the 8 files for tempdb, and auto growth will be 64 MB. So these are the default locations. Also you can see here the number of files. So if we want to increase the number of size, then we can do that based on the requirement. Initial size also it is 8 MB. If we want to increase, we can increase that. Say for example, if we want to keep it 512 MB, I can do that. Auto growth is 64 MB. So that is good. By default it is okay. Now we are going to select the max stop. So as per the, it has detected the 16 cores on the system, and it is recommended to use the 8 max top as a 8. So by default it is good. Again the memory, you can see that while selecting the memory, by default it is showing at the 0, and here it is showing the unlimited. It means that there is no capping for the RAM. So it is always better to go with the recommended. So you can see that by default it has selected the 12 GB out of 16 GB. So almost around 80 to 90% it has selected. So if you want to use the recommended, then better to use select the click here to accept the recommended memory configuration. Okay, so once it is checked, then we can click on next. Okay, so this configuration is for the analysis services. So basically I have selected the analysis services as well. So I have to select it again. I have to add the add current user. Okay, now the by default it has taken the data directory in the E drive, so we can change it to F drive as per our requirement. So okay, better let it be for no. Okay, this is very important. Now you can see this summary, means what are the features we are going to install and what are the file locations which we have selected. So here you can see that prerequisites are already installed. Here you can see, and general configuration like features, what are the features that we have selected for the installations. So database engine services, replication and others. Same the instance configuration. So whatever the instance name we have given, it is showing here. Then again the SQL database engine, where the files are located actually. So you can see that where the files are located, that is the instance directory. These are the component root directory, shared component root directories. Also you can see that what is the service account we have selected for the installation, and startup type is manual. So once it is installed we can change it to automatic. Then we have the service account for the analysis services. And collation, we can see that the collation is let in general case insensitive. Then these are the location of the data files and log files for the analysis services. Okay, so this is the database engine service account, data directories. So all this configuration you can see here, like tempdb, related to the tempdb, what is the number of data files, initial size, auto growth. Again you can see the RAM configuration which we have given, and max degree of parallelism, then collation, and finally we have the administrator account which we have added. So these are the features whatever we have selected. We can see here, if you want to go back and correct it, we can do that. So it looks good, so we can go ahead and install it. Okay, so it will take few minutes to install it, so let's wait for that. Almost installation is done. Let's wait for a few seconds. Okay, now we can see that all the features whatever we have selected is installed perfectly. Okay, now we are going to install SSMS. So we have to download from here. You can see the options here in the tools. Select download SQL Server Management Studio. We have to select here free download for SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, so we can see that the file is downloaded now. So just click on it, select yes. So we can select here drive, install. Okay, so let's wait for a few minutes. Okay, so we can see that SQL Server is installed. SSMS is installed now. So since it is asking for the restart, okay, so as of now just close it. I'm launching the Management Studio now. Okay, so now we can say that the SQL instance which we have installed SQL 2019 is installed now. Now just try to connect. Okay, so I can see that we are able to connect now. Now I can see that the SQL Server recent is not started, so we can go to the services.msc and start the service. Refresh it here. Okay, that's it guys. So now we can see that SQL services are installed. Now we can work with it. Okay, also just to validate, we can go to the properties and select what is the version of SQL Server is installed. So you can see here it is developer edition 64-bit, and memory as we have selected 416 is installed perfectly. Database settings as we have given SQL 2019 data log, so all the files are separate now. Also we can see the temp.db files, so you can see that 8 files are created and size initial size is 512 MB and auto growth is 64 MB, so it's perfectly aligned with the details whatever we have provided during the installations. So that's it guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and it is helpful to you. Thanks for watching the video. Have a nice day.